Alright, what's up with YouTube? Okay, so finally did it. Watched the prequel trilogy, Star Wars. Finished it. Was it yesterday or the day before yesterday? I think it was Saturday. Yeah, it was Saturday. Took a couple days to digest it. Even though my opinions really haven't changed since Saturday, and today's Monday. So let's get into this shit. Um, First off, with the obvious point that this is my favorite trilogy out of the three trilogies. So I've seen all three. I just have, because the first trilogy I saw was the sequel trilogy. That's what pretty much got me into the whole thing. And then of course I did the review. I watched the original and what did the reviews. And this. So having seen all three trilogies, I can say this trilogy is my favorite one. Okay, and I still have to watch the sequel trilogy again for reviewing purposes. And there's a cat. I have to say this one is definitely the favorite. Revenge of the Sith is definitely my favorite movie out of this trilogy and all nine. And I would say that the movies got better. I mean, I liked all three, and they got better with each one. And which brings me to my second point. I don't get the critical ratings on this trilogy were the worst. Like critically speaking, this was the worst trilogy out of just the general consensus was that this was the worst trilogy. And I was like, so going in, I was obviously expecting that. And I'm not even really surprised that I ended up feeling different because I normally feel different about shit than like the general public normally does. But yeah, like look at like the so out of the nine, the worst rated movie is Rise of Skywalker, and then it's Phantom Menace, then Attack of the Clones, then Revenge of the Sith. But although Revenge of the Sith is really well, I mean by Star Wars standards, the the movies were generally, let me see, the other five were generally rated about 90, 80s, like high 80s, 90s. Besides Return of the Jedi, which had a really weird, because it was going off of Rotten Tomatoes and Metacritic. So on Rotten Tomatoes, Return of the Jedi had like a 89, like a high, or 83, like somewhere in the mid to high 80s on Rotten Tomatoes, and then like a 52 or something like that on Metacritic, and that was like the biggest gap between Rotten Tomatoes and Metacritic out of all the movies. And then, but yeah, so Rise of Skywalker has like a 50 some 52, 54. Then Phantom Menace has a 53, 51. Attack of the Clones has a 65, 8, a 65, 54. Then Revenge of the Sith was better rated with an 80, 68, which obviously by the standard of the other five movies wasn't. It's better than the ones below it, but it's still kind of like off from the ones from the five above it. And I was just like, why is this trilogy like not like? Maybe it's just a personal taste thing. Uh, because something about what one thing I really liked was that the story was different for like it's the most different story out of the three trilogies. This story obviously stands out the most because you're following the villain's journey rather than the other two. You're following the hero's journey, and so it stands out for that reason. But it can't just survive off that alone. I mean, you see, well, Joker was a good villain or origin story. I don't think I've ever seen like a bad villain origin story. I haven't seen too many villain origin stories to begin with, but yeah, honestly, I think these are like the only two I've seen: Joker and this trilogy. But so I mean, I'm 2 for 2 on villain origin stories. Uh, see, Anakin. Yeah, so Anakin is definitely my favorite character. I mean, it's his story. So, I mean, I liked Ben, and I'll get into Obi Wan. I'll get into Obi Wan later, but and the rest of the Jedi's, I'll get into them. But Anakin's story, especially from Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, when he's older, like the way they tell his story, I was all for it. I was like, fucking right. Especially like when his mom dies and he just snaps and kills that whole fucking village. I was like, you fucking right. Like I like that he, like they're already showing you off the bat this nigga crazy. So it's not just like a 183, yeah, like a 180 turn out of nowhere when he goes full dark side in Revenge of the Sith, because they already showing you this nigga crazy. And his storyline of apparently when I was doing research after I watched the trilogy on Saturday night, I found one thing. They said that Anakin is like one of the most studied characters in like college research papers for like psychology papers and stuff, because he checks off like 6 out of 9 boxes for, I think it was a dissociative identity disorder, and to be diagnosed you only need to check off 5, and he checks off 6. And they, like the videos I was watching, they're talking about how, you know, his emotional state, how how he was kind of right to turn, how the Jedi kind of fucked him over, because the way they raised the Jedi from like kind of infancy to like be so emotionally detached, and then you get this kid who, like they said, is older than the other. He's like already 9 years old, has emotional attachment to his mother, and all this and that, which is why Yoda was like, nah, I don't know about this shit. But instead of trying to help him, guide him with his emotions in a positive way, they try to make him shut him down, which he can't do, because he's kind of already, which just makes him more unstable, because he feels like he has to live up to their like kind of perfect idea of what a Jedi should be, this unemotional, straightforward, all right person, and he's just not that, and it kind of messes him up even more, because he really tries to be that, and he just can't, because he's not. And they kind of, one of the videos I saw kind of drew this comparison between him and Luke from the original trilogy, where Luke, they try to do the same thing to Luke, but Luke just kind of says, fuck you, I'm gonna do what I want to do, and it doesn't mean I have to go dark side, it just means I'm not gonna try to fit myself into your box. I'm gonna be good, I'm gonna be light side, but I'm gonna do it my way. And Anakin just isn't mentally stable enough, I guess, to be able to do what Luke did. And instead of him being like, you know, I'm gonna love my wife, I'm gonna love my mom, and I'm gonna still be light side, he eventually just goes dark, because you can say Palpatine just offered a better circumstances for him. And this is like why, and on Mustafar, in the final battle with Obi-Wan, he's like, yo, like the Jedi, they fucked up. The Jedi are fucked up. Their ideology is fucked up. The way they train people, the way they do things is not cool. When they try to act like they have this higher ground, which they, no pun intended, which they don't. When you really kind of mess up, they kind of screw themselves over. But see, I just like the way they told the story. I like the way they told Anakin's story. And I think it's also harkening back on the critical ratings. I know there was one thing I heard was about the acting. I didn't have, I mean, there was some kind of moments when I was like Padme, like the actress who like, isn't Natalie Portman? When she's like doing her acting, and I'm like, it's kind of stiff. But I mean, I was all there for like the way Hayden Christensen portrayed Anakin, especially when he goes dark and he's just like all fucking emotional, and he goes off on Padme. He played the fuck out of those scenes. I was like, oh shit. But yeah, and then when he's like when the scene like no, Mustafar and Obi-Wan shows up and he accuses Padme of bringing Obi-Wan to kill him, and she's like, I didn't do it. He looks at her, he's like, liar. And I was like, yo, shit. Like, he is really good at portraying like evil or hate. And then what was the other scene when he's like after Obi-Wan cuts him down and he's like burning up on the lava and he's like, I hate you. I hate you. I was like, oh shit. And then what was the other part? Shit, what was the other part? I don't even fucking. Oh yeah, the tear when he's crying when he's on Mustafar before Obi-Wan shows up and he's just kind of like looking out into the distance and he just has like the silent tears running down, and I was here for that shit. I was like, yeah, that's fucking cool. I like the way they told this. I already said that. God, right. Guess we'll just be in the video. But what else? Yeah, I think it's just a thing I have about villainous characters. I feel like not even just in the Star Wars, but in general, in fiction storytelling in general, villainous characters are just written way better than heroes. Like they're given way more personality. They're given better story, like a better storyline when they're like really fleshed out. They're way more charismatic, and it's just like it's like they almost put more into wanting you to hate, making you root against the villain, than they put into making you want the hero to win, and it ends up having the opposite effect. Because like the villain is cool and he's has his personality and this and that, and the villain is the hero is kind of bland to a certain extent. I feel like Harry Potter almost falls victim to this. Almost. Not all the way, but almost. But so honestly, I felt sorry for Anakin. I felt so sorry for dude. I was like, man, I can see why you fucking went dark. Like, you didn't have to, and you still had options, but I can see why. And I just felt sorry for dude. And yeah, let me. Next point on the list. Yeah, so on the critical, like, if you're on that side that kind of places the sequel, the prequel trilogy is like the worst of the three trilogies, and especially episode 1 and 2. Let me know why. Why in the comments? 'Cause I enjoyed them. Like I said, the trilogy is my favorite trilogy. Honestly, like Attack of the Clones was after I saw it, I decided it was my favorite movie out of all 9 until I saw Revenge of the Sith, and I was like, nope, Revenge of the Sith is my favorite out of all 9. Because of the scenes when when Anakin, like I said, when he finds his mother and she dies, he goes ape shit on that whole village, and then he confesses to Padme and he's just crying, and I was like, oh shit, bruh. So let's go on to my fourth point was the political aspect of it. I really like I like political stories. I like the House of Cards is like one of my favorite series of all times. So yeah, I watched a bunch of political shit. I mess with politics in real life sometimes. But I enjoyed the political shit and Palpatine's political rise and seeing how he takes power and becomes the emperor. And it was just interesting to watch. I was just like, but this nigga is so, and it was really interesting to see how he becomes deformed. I didn't know about that. I didn't know about that was how he got deformed. So that was a nice touch to see if they do that in there. Um, see, Anakin and Padme, I didn't have any issue with their like romance story. Uh, I was cool with it. As I understood, that was how he goes dark. That led to it. I did, and it was kind of weird for me in Phantom Menace when they're both introduced because she seems so much older than him in that movie. Uh, so I was like, so when they like first showed him, I was like, well, specifically her, because I already knew he was going to be a little kid in the movie. When they showed her, I was like, wait, so he's going to get with her? Like, she looks way too old for him. But I guess 10 years pass. He's 19. And, so, she was like 20. Even if she was like a few years older than him, if he was 19, she was like 24, 23, 25, something like that. I guess that's not that bad. But yeah, it just seemed weird seeing it in Phantom Menace because she is so much older. She looks so much older than him in that movie because he's 9. He's fucking 9 years old. Like I said, there was like some scenes where like the acting's kind of stale on her part, but besides that, I didn't really have an issue. Jar Jar Binks was a character. Jar Jar Binks is a character I hear a lot about, hear a lot of hate about, and I didn't have an issue with him. I was pretty indifferent about him. Like I didn't really care about him. I didn't. He was just like the side character who talked weird. I do get the. I don't know if this was the issue for other people, but I do kind of get how the way he talks and the way his species talks. It does kind of seem kind of like a caricature of like black folk talking. Uh, I didn't have an issue with that, but I know because I don't really take offense to shit that easily. But I'm pretty sure some people probably had an issue with that. If that was if that's what I got out of it, I know other people got that out of it. Next up on the list is Obi-Wan and Anakin's relationship. Uh, Looking back on it now, I like that. That at least Obi-Wan really tried. Like you see that. Like going back to like my third point, which is with Anakin, his emotional instability, and how like the rest of the Jedi Council, especially Yoda, was like kind of about him because of like they could sense his emotions, but Obi-Wan at least tried. I felt like he the most out of any of the Jedi tried to help this dude, tried to like guide him in some way to stop him from going dark and try to keep the Jedi from kicking him out, or he tried to be a friend, be a brother, be a guide, be a teacher for Anakin. So I at least give him the credit for that. And shout out for this one line in Attack of the Clones when he said, "You'll be the death of me one day." And he's like kind of said it kind of jokingly and kind of like in the past, but of course we all know that Anakin does kill Obi-Wan in Episode 4. So yeah, shout out for that little line it'll throw out. I kind of laughed a little bit when he said that, but yeah, that was kind of weird, like seeing it in the first in Episode 1 as well when they meet Anakin. He's like a little kid, and Obi-Wan's young too, but he grows up to kill him. That's kind of weird watching that. What else? Yeah, I said the relation to the original sequel. Like I said, as it relates to the other two trilogies, you can see like it stands out more because you're following, you see his like descent into madness pretty much, into becoming Darth Vader, and you following the villain, whereas in the other two you're following the hero, And especially in part one, I never really got the sense. You know, I knew Luke wasn't going to turn to the dark side because, uh, what's it called? Because, you know, spoilers and already know what's going to happen. But even then, even after he finds out that Vader is his dad, he doesn't really, it's not really a, oh, I want to turn to the dark side to be my dad. Even though he does start wearing, like, he wears black throughout Return of the Jedi, and he has, like, this meaner attitude, which honestly, uh, I would say, like, for Luke, Return of the Jedi would be, like, my favorite movie for Luke because of that, because, like, he kind of takes his tougher attitude, and he's wearing the black, and I didn't really feel like he would, and he then he kind of had reservations about killing Vader because he was his dad. That doesn't necessarily mean he would join him. His goal was always at that point to try to turn him back. And I would say in the sequel trilogy, which I guess I'll get more into when I do the review for that, I never really get the feeling that Rey is gonna turn. For me, it was, if anything, I would say the sequel trilogy is more Kylo's story than Rey's, because you never really think she's gonna turn. It's always about, one, like, who the fuck is she, like, whose child is she, and also, is Kylo gonna turn, or is she gonna have to kill him? And which I'll get more into whenever I read that series, that trilogy. But with this one, it's like a unique story following this guy from being a little kid who wants to be a Jedi to becoming Darth Vader. And I think that was a really, I like the way they told the story. And like I said, I fucks with it. So let me know in the comments where you stand with this with the original, with the prequel trilogy, and whether you on that side that kind of is down on it, why? And I'll see you whenever I review the sequels. Deuces.